Hi, I'm Miss Kingsbury, and I'm one of the math teachers here at East Millbrook, and I'm here to talk to you today about how you can help your student if they struggle with math. So the first thing I want to talk about is this idea about a student being bad at math, and I hear kids say it all the time. And in actuality, it's not really true. You're not really bad at math. There may be some parts of math that you struggle with, but then there are other parts that you breeze right through. So you're not bad at the whole subject, you just have some parts that you need to work on. So let's kind of look at math like this. Math is one of those subjects that builds on top of itself. So that means every year you learn a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and it builds on what you learned the previous years. So this would be a foundation of a student coming into sixth grade. So this is everything they learn from kindergarten all the way through fifth grade. So then as a sixth grade teacher, my job is to then teach them new sixth grade topics and then place that on top. And when there's a really strong foundation, it's very easy to build on top of what they've already learned. But let's say you have a student who struggled with some things along the way. Let's say they had some issues with, maybe subtraction with borrowing, and maybe some addition with regrouping. And let's say maybe they also from there moved on to having some troubles with multiplication, especially when they had to start multiplying by more than a one-digit number. And then from there, we started having some troubles where now we're having some issues with division because we had some issues with multiplication, and multiplication is the opposite of division. And now we've moved on, and now we're also having some trouble with fractions because fractions really depend a lot on their understanding of multiplication and division. And then they move on to fifth grade, and now they get into fifth grade, and now they've got long division, which incorporates multiplication, it incorporates division, it's got subtraction in there, so it's got all those skills. And they've really struggled with that. So now, as you can see, this student's foundation is a little bit more shaky. So then when it's time for me as a sixth grade teacher to now build on top of what they've learned, now the foundation is a little bit shaky, so it's a chance that it's going to eventually just kind of topple over on them. So what can you do as a parent if if your child is someone who has struggled with math along the way? So the best thing you can do as a parent is try to fill in those gaps. So how can you do that? Well, one way that you can do that is by getting them involved in tutoring. What tutoring allows a student to do is they get some one-on-one time with someone who can help them with those skills that they missed while they were in elementary school. And if you can't afford to go to like a Sylvan or some other place to pay for tutoring, then online tutoring is a great tool. And one of my favorite websites is khanacademy.org. And the reason I love this website is because when you go on khanacademy.org, what your student can do is they can basically take a pretest, and the pretest figures out where the gaps are. And then it gives them practice on those skills. And it has videos and games and all kinds of amazing things to help them fill in those areas. Now, of course, here at East Millbrook, we'll also provide some interventions and some things to help fill in those gaps as well. But if they're getting it at school and at home, then it's really going to make the process go a little bit faster. And you got to keep in mind, when your student came into sixth grade, remember they had that shaky foundation already that took time to develop. So it's going to take some time to kind of fix it and fill in those holes. So it may not happen in just 1 year. Now, one of the other huge things that you can do as a parent to help a struggling student is making sure that they know their timetables. Many of my students who come in and struggle with math are students who still don't know those timetables by heart. And the best way to teach your child their timetables is old school flashcards. It worked for us and it still works. So you want to you can buy a set of flashcards. They have them at Walmart. The dollar store has them. You can even grab a pack of index cards and make your own, or you can even make it with paper. It doesn't even have to be expensive. But when you do the flashcards, you want to do the flashcards in order. So that means you want to start with all of the zeros and then just do the zeros, and then keep doing the zeros until they know them by heart. Then once you get through the zeros, do the ones, and then the twos, and the threes, and so on. And as you're doing them, you want to start by doing them in order first. You don't want to be mixing it up on them. You want them to start to catch that pattern of how the numbers are counting up. So like I have here, I have my 3 times 5, and then after that I go to 3 times 6, and after that 3 times 7, and after that 3 times 8. And then once my child knows all of them by heart, then I can kind of start mixing it up and then giving them to them in a random order. And you don't want to start doing anything where you're mixing all of them together until they have mastered every single number individually. And the one thing that you want to show your students is that they really only need to know half of the multiplication chart, because 3 times 8 is the same as 8 times 3. So if they know one, then they automatically know the other one. So pointing that out can help as well. And you definitely want to make sure that you're doing this about 30 minutes in the beginning. Starting out with about 30 minutes, and then you can start dwindling the time down as they get better and better and better, to the point where they may not need to do it for more than 5 or 10 minutes. And then it could be, once they've got them down packed and they've shown you that they know them, that they understand them, then it could just be something that you do in the kitchen as you're cooking. Just kind of toss one at them. In the car on the way to school, just kind of throw one at them just to keep it fresh. But timetables is huge in 6th grade. Every topic that we do in the 6th grade involves multiplication in some way. And it's not that the students don't understand the new information that their teacher teaches them. It's just that we're teaching it on a shaky foundation. So once we do that, it all kind of falls apart when it gets back to those elementary skills. So hopefully this video has been helpful to you. You can always ask your teacher, your child's teacher, for more information or more help or more resources. All right, thank you.